EB sidesteps Carney with anti-tariff ads after Ontario blow-up. It's the kind of political plot twist that turns a quiet trade dispute into front-page drama. British Columbia Premier David Eby is charging headfirst into a fight that scorched Ontario just weeks ago, launching his own campaign against U.S. tariffs without so much as a phone call to Prime Minister Mark Carney. After Ontario's $75 million ad debacle lit up screens, angered Washington, and sent Ottawa into damage control, everyone assumed Canada's premiers would think twice before poking the bear again. But not Eby. He's doubling down, setting the stage for a showdown that could test Canada's fragile relationship with the United States and with its own federal government. When Eby announced that his province would push forward with a new digital campaign calling out what he described as unfair and absurd American tariffs on softwood lumber, jaws dropped across Parliament Hill. Ontario's campaign had already backfired spectacularly, drawing a furious response from U.S. President Donald Trump, who froze trade talks and threatened more tariffs in retaliation. Yet Eby's team insists the move is necessary, a bold, last-ditch effort to protect an industry being strangled by a 45% tariff on lumber exports. His message? Enough is enough. BC, the heart of Canada's forestry economy, is bleeding jobs and losing billions, and he's not waiting for federal diplomacy to catch up. Before we dig deeper into the fallout and the high-stakes political maneuvering behind this risky move, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss the latest stories shaking up Canadian politics, trade, and diplomacy. Now, let's unpack how Eby's digital rebellion could either redefine provincial leadership or blow up in his face. Eby's campaign is designed to be lean and direct, a far cry from Ontario's flashy TV blitz. Instead of primetime commercials during major sports events, BC's ads will live online, targeting American audiences through social media platforms. It's a low-cost, high-visibility approach meant to rally both Canadians and sympathetic Americans against the tariffs that have crippled BC's lumber exports. But make no mistake, even a small digital campaign carries big diplomatic risks. The last time Canada tried this approach, the fallout reached all the way to the White House. Ontario's infamous ad aired during the World Series invoking Ronald Reagan and American values of free trade, but it only enraged Trump. The U.S. president reportedly called Canadian officials freeloaders and paused trade talks indefinitely. In Washington, the tension exploded when U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra allegedly berated Ontario's trade representative in a profanity-laced confrontation that left Ottawa reeling. With that disaster still fresh, many expected other provinces to steer clear of similar stunts. Instead, Eby is stepping squarely into the same firestorm. BC's Minister of Forests, Robbie Palmer, defended the plan in an interview with Canada's National Observer, describing the situation as dire. He pointed out the painful irony: Russia, despite ongoing geopolitical tensions, currently enjoys better access to the U.S. lumber market than Canada. Palmer insists that American lawmakers must understand the real impact of these tariffs, not just on Canadian sawmills, but on American homebuyers now paying more for lumber. "We're not just fighting for BC," Palmer said. "We're fighting for fair trade that benefits everyone." But not everyone in Ottawa is applauding. Eby's boldness has raised alarm bells among Carney's inner circle. The Prime Minister has yet to publicly comment, but his advisors, busy with an ongoing trade mission through Asia, are reportedly urging restraint. They fear that Eby's unilateral action could sabotage months of delicate diplomacy and hand Trump fresh ammunition for his campaign trail. One senior official told reporters privately that the PMO might try to talk Eby down before his campaign goes live, but so far, the premier isn't budging. Trade experts are equally divided. Julian Karajan, a lecturer in international trade at McGill University, described Eby's move as leaning against a hurricane. In his view, the digital campaign won't shift U.S. policy but could easily provoke Trump's wrath. "If these ads were likely to advance our interests, the federal government would be backing them," he said. "But they won't. This is symbolic politics and symbols can cost you." Karajan's skepticism is echoed by Dia Zhang, another McGill trade analyst, who believes Eby's timing couldn't be riskier. While she acknowledges that provinces technically have the right to promote their industries abroad, she warns that in today's volatile environment, even minor gestures can spiral into diplomatic crises. With Trump back in campaign mode, everything Canada does is under scrutiny, Zhang explained. A simple tweet or ad can be twisted into an insult or an attack. That's the danger. Zhang also drew attention to the upcoming U.S. midterms, a political storm that could amplify any misstep. "Trump is playing to his base," she said. "He's using trade as a rallying cry, portraying Canada as a nation that exploits American workers. The last thing we should do is feed that narrative." Still, she admits there's one potential upside: American voters frustrated with rising home prices may respond to the message that tariffs hurt their own economy. It's a delicate balance, John said. You could win sympathy or ignite fury. It's 50-50. Meanwhile, Ottawa is scrambling to keep the situation under control. Reports suggest an emergency softwood summit is being planned in Vancouver, bringing together key ministers from both federal and provincial governments. Minister of Internal Trade Dominic LeBlanc, Energy and Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson, and Housing and Infrastructure Minister Gregor Robertson are expected to attend. The goal? Find a unified national strategy before Eby's campaign goes live or risk watching Canada's trade policy unravel in real time. Despite the growing criticism, Eby remains undeterred. Insiders say he sees the campaign as a statement of leadership, proof that BC won't sit idle while jobs vanish and communities suffer. For many in his province, this isn't just politics, it's survival. Sawmills across the interior have closed their doors, thousands of workers have been laid off, and small towns that once thrived on lumber exports are on the brink. People are angry, one senior BC official said. They want to see their government fighting for them. Political analysts say that sentiment plays right into Eby's strategy. Fen Hampson, a professor at Carleton University's Norman Paterson School of International Affairs, calls it a calculated act of defiance. According to Hampson, Eby's digital ads aren't just about tariffs, they're about optics. It's political theater as much as it is policy, he explained. He's showing his voters that he's willing to stand up to Trump and, by extension, to Ottawa. But Hampson also cautioned that such moves can backfire. Whatever you put out, TV, social media, YouTube, you've got to tread carefully, he warned. You don't want to make things worse in an environment already full of friction. His concern isn't just about Trump's reaction, but about the fragile coordination between Canada's provinces and the federal government. If Eby's campaign sparks another diplomatic crisis, Carney may have no choice but to intervene, and that could open a whole new political rift at home. Behind the scenes, tension between provincial independence and federal diplomacy is reaching a boiling point. Carney has been working to reset Canada's relationship with Washington, adopting a calm, data-driven approach meant to contrast Trump's volatility. Eby's move, however, risks throwing that playbook out the window. By acting unilaterally, he could force the Prime Minister into an impossible position: support the ads and risk a trade war, or denounce them and alienate his own party's rising star. Either way, it's a lose-lose scenario. Trump's unpredictability only adds to the danger. On the campaign trail, he's been hammering away at Canada, accusing it of cheating American workers and calling for tariffs on everything from lumber to steel. In that climate, even a modest online campaign could become political dynamite. All it takes is one tweet from Trump, Hampson said, and this goes from a provincial ad to a national crisis. Still, not everyone sees Eby's defiance as reckless.